kind of like a winning pitch for your projects. When you come today, my whole focus of today is that at least I will give you a sense of what is expected in the pitch at the idea challenge. Hey, if you made it into semi-final levels, right? What does it look like? What they expected from the presentations to how you present it, how you standing up and present it in front of them. Right? But before that, I want to kind of remind you something here. It's very important. In order to make it to your pitch, to submit your idea plan by March 2nd. This is online. Everyone know about it. The idea plan format, once you get it out there, that's for you to see what is expected in your idea plan. But you have to log in online as a team leader. You log in online, you fill in the information online for the idea plan. After that, we had a large pool of leaders. These are the faculties, business entrepreneurs, people who are kind of group and support different speakers to read through your plan. And we only select 30 to 35 teams to semi-final round based on your idea plan. Now, we introduced to you identify problem, assess opportunity, look into how you create your solution that solves that problem, and what resources there. They will look at your idea plan that way. Rate your idea plan and how you design your idea that way as well. So follow the format, right? All the details in there is kind of like suggestion that these are the things that you have to look at when you write up an idea plan. Okay? After that, I think we will have, when we have a leader and select 30 to 35 teams, we will announce the semi-finalists, that 35 team, through email. We all have your team and team contact for you. Email you who's going to make it into the semi-finalists. Now, after that, we hope that we can spend an hour with each of the semi-finalists to listen to your pitch, comment on how you pitch it, and how your presentation looks like. Once you have the rocket pitch coaching, this is one-on-one with the team, right? We're working with one-on-one, and usually we will send out the schedule, so you have to pay attention on the email that's sent out from different speakers. Okay, you got to get back to us whether certain timeline you can make it to the rocket pitch, because we don't have much time from now to April. Beginning of April is when the semifinalists is pitched. Right? I give you a period to what looks like on the semifinalists, provided that all of you here today is making it to the semifinalists. I hope so too. Now, what happened is that because we have 35 teams, we have 6 pitching rooms there. Each room, we have one panel of judges there, made of mostly out of 9. And then we try to kind of put you into the room that similar in maybe industry type, maybe technology, more consumer product, maybe in terms of more, medical device type. And then we choose the judges that have some background on it, so that they can actually judge you upon your idea. And again, you will be judged upon how well you define your problem, how well you assess opportunity, what is your solution looks like, how well it's solved the problem, and how you're going to sustain that solution for a long time. Right? And what you need, and why you are qualified for that to solve this problem. They have that same, judging sheet. Now, after the 35 team level, which is semi-finalists, we only pick 10 teams to the final round. If you made it to 10 team final round, you guarantee funding. Okay, all 10 teams got funded. It's just different level of funding. Okay, and by that time, that 10 team will pitch on one night, and we invite everyone whoever wants to show up and to listen to your pitch. And it's going to be at the Maloney Hall, and you see two big halls there. It's very interesting, very fun to watch. And of course, by that time, again, we will, with that 10 team, we have different levels. Now, give you a sense of what we're looking for. We're looking for highest team prizes, campus-wide difference maker. That team is actually point out what is the actual problem, the real life problem that you want to solve it, how well you solve that problem, right? What sustainability is out of it? What is your team qualification? How strong is your team is? And another point that puts you different from other people is that what is the social impact of your solution? Bring in a back. And other prizes is regarding what's the innovation technology, significant social impact, you have healthy lifestyle, you have first to market, all these things. You can actually look it online anyway, I don't need to. But if you want to capture the highest prize, $6,000 in cash. Right? Besides that, you are developing some products that you want to be protected with intellectual property. You need to consult with attorneys and lawyers, things like that. We have $15,000 in-kind service from law firms that will provide in-kind to us. Okay? So that's very clear. That's step by step. I've been telling you so far several times already. Right? So today, we only focus on the rocket pitch part. So what do you expect? Everyone come in here with this, right? Everyone got this, right? So this is kind of like a snapshot of your pitch. This is how we're asking you to develop your pitch here. It doesn't, as long as it doesn't mean that you have to go like strictly style one is the problem side, two is opportunity. You can design your own flavor here. These are the things that the judges are looking for within that, the content that they're looking for. Yeah. You can make it so interactive, mostly pictures, but as long as you actually deliver this, that actually answer all these questions. You will. Okay? This is a guideline. Doesn't mean you have to follow strictly line by line. Be creative, captures the judge's intentions in here. But also make sure that all the information is, you get all the point. Right? Oh, sorry. How about this one? All right. So, you have 5 minutes to present. You can develop 20 slides. But do you think in 5 minutes you actually cover, 10 slides? It's hard to do so unless it's just like going like that. It's really hard to capture the attention of the judges. Right? That's why when 5-minute presentation, we kind of give you a sense of 4 to 6 slides. It's good enough. Then you can cover a minute of slides. You can linger on this one faster than the other one. But general, stick with 5. And if you are not very, experienced with that, don't and try to just start with that portion. If you will get better, you can actually make it, more slides, but it still captures the point. Right? But stick with that. It's actually safer that way. Right? And follow this. Suggestions right here. Now, the thing is, the question is that a lot of people say that I have a lot of things I want to share. I have a lot of information. And how do I share that? Your 5-minute presentation is to capture the interests of judges. Captures the main point that you want to talk about. The judges, when they're interested, they will ask you questions. Now, you can prepare another 10 slides at the back. You can submit it to us, right? Shove it at the back. When they ask the question, more detailed question, you can pull it back up and say, so here, I prepared already, this is how it's explained. Then 10 minutes, question and answer. That's where you show deliver those kind of benefits or solving the problem. Maybe the presentation is like, this is how I solve the problem. And my user would have these kind of benefits, right? And then that's it. That's captured the judges already. And they would ask, when it comes to the question and answer part, judges say, all right, so you claim that's gonna deliver all the good benefit the user need, right? Tell me a little bit more about your technology. All right, yeah. Now you answer that. All the details. If you send all your technology right in the 5 minutes, you lose all the other point. Correct? So you carefully think about it. So let's go over one by one. First one, talking about the problem. Clearly state the problem is. And so this is key. When you're talking about problem, whose problem is that? I mean, we're talking about that in the very first bookshop away, right? You don't solve problems for everybody. Very critical, certain group. Everyone deal with the problem differently. That means when you give the solution to that, it's actually tailored to that kind of, right? The older people deal with the same, that open door differently. They open it, they put their hand, they just want you to come in and just open it out. But younger people say that they would prefer more, I want to see who's outside. Open it. Right? So each group has a totally different way of dealing with it. You have to be very specific. There. How many people in that group can you solve the problem for? In a technical, is it worth a try? Why do I spend thousands of dollars to you just to solve the problem? Like, or for you? You gotta see what the magnitude of the problem is. This is very, you need a lot of details in here. You can share that detail in graph. Show who they are. If you can't give a snapshot of that type of customers, how old they are, what kind of incomes they are, the more pictures that you need to talk to a lot of people. Convince the judge here is that you actually verify what your assumption about the problem. You didn't talk to people. You talk to a lot of people. Second one, opportunity. This is you have to be aware who's doing things out there. Solve the problem out there. And why they are good, why they are bad. Why you're different. That's what you show. Okay? Competition here. Key to critical is you mentioned about your competition, but at the same time, tell me how they solve the problem too. You don't just mention that. And then you are exactly the same. What's the difference? Why the current user would take you instead of just using the current solution? You've got to put some distinction in there. So a lot of people choose to do that. I have this group of people solving the problem, and here's the certain criteria that user looks like. They do this, check mark, check mark. They don't do this, I do check mark, check mark, check mark. You can actually show how different from you and others. I give you some of the way that you can show your competition. Okay? So, number 3, this is a solution. Right? Please, when you present your solution, not just talk about your product. The product is not just part of your solution, but all the solution there. Okay? The product, in the solution part, I really want you to talk about, if you talk about the product, I don't want you to get deep into technologies and all the intricate part of it there. But I want you to point it out very clear how your product solves the problem. What benefit or what things that maybe save some kind of amount of money, creates it, save how many minutes of their days of working. These are the benefits. I want to hear that. If you want one slide, show me that. mean you have someone to put the money to you to keep providing that kind of service to society or to the community. So tell me about that. Who's going to fund you? Like, I think there's something wrong. This is where it is. Right? Go to the business model workshop on Monday. Yeah. And step 4. Not pitch anything without asking for something out. Right? So the whole time you pitch the idea, either you ask for some money to start these ideas out. Right? Or you ask them certain advice or mentorship or things like that. Networking opportunity. Tell me what it is. The back slides here. Okay? You don't work out and pitch and say, oh, that's it, done. I don't need anything. That's the point. Right? So make sure that you put the ask in here. Put the ask in here. Okay? And then a lot of you have done a lot of work ahead of time. You maybe have a prototype and things like that. Show us in this as well. This is how far we go. This is how much we committed to make this happen. I want you to tell that to the judge. If you already did that, okay? If you haven't done that, just an idea point, this is my plan. In the next few months, month 1 I'm doing this, month 2 I'm doing that. Okay? Because the whole idea is to convince them that I'm committed. My team is committed. I have all the right combination of things to make it happen. I have a plan for that. But at the same time, here's things that I need from you guys. Give me that much money to what? By the way, maximum amount of cash to give out $6,000. Now, I need to come up to $1 million. Or maybe at that stage you need $10,000. But at least if you need $10,000, tell me $6,000 what you're going to use that for. Okay? Don't just say I need $20,000. I need competition for $6,000. But isn't telling me what you need. Maybe $10,000 for, I don't know, a year. But maybe the first 6 months is critical point that I need $6,000 to improve, to do this. Which is you actually create a stepping stone for me to push that idea forward. So make sure you tell them that. Okay? Any questions for me? Clear? So, a few things in here. Oh, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Do you recommend implementing a personal story of why you started?
Okay, all right. So this is kind of tip and tricks and when you're presenting that. A lot of people, when they want to grab attention, emotional out of objects, they start with the whole thing in the story. Now, a 5 minute, you go on and on your story, then that is not a good way to do it. Time yourself. You want to make an impact in grab attention. You tell a story that take the heart of it out and quickly make sure that that is like, wow, what he's talking about. I didn't realize that problem is that bad. Everything will go on, and I didn't realize that the issue, the point of it is a problem. Okay? It's like, okay, keep going, tell me what's going on here. Right? Yes, personal story, something, you know. And it actually tells from the story, you actually can give people a look into who's the leader, who is the people who have a problem. Right? You kind of create a representation of that group of people. Right? So it's actually a good idea. Now, I want to make sure that you don't make this mistake. A lot of you probably very technical in your product, technology product. Please do not use those technology jargon. Not a lot of people know all that technology. There's again, go back to the point of not going to detail the technology in the 5 representation. Right? Save that out. If they ask, some of them will probably know the technology very well. They would ask you, and then you can actually be, show off with your knowledge later on in the The judge is looking at you, not looking at the presentation and trying to read what they're written there. To be honest, if you have a lot of word in there, either they look at you or they don't even look at you, they look at the screen and you lose their attention right there. And whatever you say right now is no longer registered in their ears anymore. What you say is more stronger, more imprinted in their mind than what they read, right? So do not write a lot of words in your presentation. Graphic pictures is key, right? Because you are the one who created it. You should know all the work. If you want to put point in there, make a bullet point with not a sentence, maybe phrases. That means you want them to remember, oh, so this is the benefit, and that will be the benefit. Right? Or maybe they refer later on when they see your presentation, oh, I know what he's talking about. And at the same time, if you are not really strong in presentation, it's diagnosed to you what you're talking about next. But that's the main point as a guidance post, not the whole sentence. Okay? Please not do that. Okay? All right. How to limit everything in 5 minutes and still carry on everything. Practice is the key here. If you want it, you can write the whole speech out and practice with the speech in front of you and then without it. And if it past 5 minutes, look at backwards. How can I turn that 2 sentences in one but still carry what I need to say? That's how you actually make your speech much better. Okay? Do it again and again in front of other people and ask them, does it make sense to you? Do you carry what I'm thinking? What I meant to tell you? Things like that. Or the whole time it's like, what? What are you talking about? And then you have to fix your presentation. So practice it. Okay? Any other questions? All right. And so a lot of people ask when they have a prototype that presentation. Yes, you should. But don't send too much. Bring it in the prototype so that maybe judge is curious, they want to see how it works. You can show it from there, but not in the 5 minutes. But later on, I show you one of the examples in 5 minutes that they actually demonstrate the whole thing. One present, the other one is demonstrating how it works as well. It's an incredible presentation. But it needs a lot of coordinating with it now. And in a few of them would probably ask question is that how many people should be in that pitching time? The whole team should be there, but it doesn't mean the whole team will present. Okay? If you are present, it doesn't mean that you are running the whole show. No one else doing it. It's not true. Someone else cover part of the work too, right? But you probably best to present it. You want to present it. You want 2-person? Practice so well that everyone kind of moving from one to another. I would suggest doing move one to another like that. It's hard. Take a chunk. Maybe the first one take 2 slides, the second one take 2 slides. Like that. Okay, you want to have a team presentation, that's fine too. But I would not advise more than 3%. Okay, it's take time to move from one to another. Okay? Because the other one will be there to answer the question anyway, so they all contribute. I think that's all I kind of talking about the rock page. Any other questions? Yep, go ahead.
Well, it's more focused on my product energy. But for the prototype, ours is technically in course. Prototype, but we have working prototype from the community competition. So our idea was to put almost like a video on the side, how we're presenting. Is that something we can do? Set up an iPad or like something?
Right. So in the case of video, as part of the presentation, we do have team that do so as well. So if you want to incorporate the video, demonstrate the products within the 5 minutes, you can do that too. However, it needs to be very well rehearsed so that it doesn't, first, it doesn't have a problem with technical, so it slow down everything. Second, it has to be go quite well with your presentation, your talking, and then transition to that and go back to the talking part. Or you can say that, save it for answer, question and answer. mean you have to follow strictly the proper course, opportunity, and solution. If you think that it's more impact, grab attention right up front, you're talking about your solution. And then but don't forget to go back. What that solution solving what problem? You know what I mean? You can actually start with that. There's no rule until you have to do this, otherwise you don't get any mark. No. Key thing is this is what they will judge you for. If you cover all the points, make it work. As long as you actually make it interesting. Okay? Yep, okay.
So I was also wondering, just for like technical issue, will we have a chance to test out our slides on whatever computers we're running them?
So I usually manage the slides and things like that. So usually we ask you to submit the slide ahead of time. I check all the slides, and if you have any trouble, I will contact you directly. But you have to check it, and usually the computer here at the National is just the PC, one of our PCs one. And we prefer to do it in PowerPoint, so it's the same thing. Because a lot of times, some of the team actually use a different kind of technology, but you gotta tell me way ahead of time that you will probably lag, so that anything happens to you doesn't affect the next team coming after you. Okay? Or affects the time of the pitch. So, if you don't have any question, I would like to introduce Professor Michael Chustow. He's the faculty fellow from management business, and he will go over some example of about the pitch. At the same time, getting to work on your pitch tonight. Okay?
All right. Who really loves talking in public, in front of people? I know you do. Most of us don't, right? So why don't we? What's wrong with that? So all of you except Lewis, why did you not, maybe a couple of you, why did you not raise your hand? You like it, right? Too. Why do you not like talking in public?
It's embarrassing.
What's embarrassing? So you said it's embarrassing, right? Okay.
It's just putting yourself out there to like people you don't know. So you're like, what am I getting myself into?
So you feel vulnerable, right? So one is you're going to feel vulnerable. You're going to feel like you're going to make a mistake, right? People are looking at you strangely. But it's not comfortable for anyone, even though Lewis says he's comfortable with it. I think he's making some things up, right? But ultimately, how can you get more comfortable? By practice. So just like Ha said, ultimately, you're going to practice and practice and practice. When it really comes to the day, you're probably still going to be uncomfortable. You're going to be nervous. You're going to be worried you're going to pass out. You're going to throw up, something like that. I've been doing pitch contests and having people come up in class and speak all the time, doing presentations, and I have not yet once seen someone either pass out or run to the restroom. One woman was close. I was worried about her, but she made it through, and you will too. So you will make it through this, right? And you'll have probably part of the team, and they'll help you out as well. So ultimately, it's through practice, right? And you will get better at it. Believe me, throughout the course of the getting coached, working on your pitch, you're going to get much better at it. So what we're going to do is we have a couple examples, and I think it's really good if you look in here and see what other teams have done to kind of give you an idea. Because right now I have no idea what my pitch is going to convey. I don't know what my slides are going to, what's going to be on my slides. So this will give you some ideas. I will say also about the pitch. So the pitch is important, but I will say you probably will not win the contest or do real well based on your pitch. But you might not do well based on your pitch, right? So the pitch isn't going to make you. The pitch is going to make you a winner by itself, right? You're going to have a good underlying idea behind it, what you're pitching. But if you have a pretty good idea and someone else has a pretty good idea and they're kind of deciding between maybe who was more prepared, who had a better pitch, then the pitch kind of comes into play. All right, so we're going to take look at a couple examples, and then when I'm going to stop this, and we'll talk about, maybe let it go all the way through, and then we'll talk about, okay, how well, you have the cheat sheet in front of you, we're going to kind of go through this, say, okay, how well do you understand the problem, how well do they assess the opportunity, what do you think of how they talked about their solution, and then lastly, did they address this question about specific resources that they need.
know someone who's had back pain. People with back pain are actually within the majority because non-impact injuries like back pain are at epidemic levels. The American Pain Foundation tells us that up to 80% of us will experience back pain at one point in our lives, and up to 27 million Americans are suffering from back pain every single year. The American Medical Association tells us that since 2004, we have more than doubled the amount of money spent towards these issues, and on top of that, the American population are reporting more pain and more disability related to the issues. We're spending up to $86 billion related to issues that don't even trace back to a severe injury or a severe illness. And as rehab specialists, what we're starting to see is people have completely lost their ability to move properly through the hips while maintaining proper spinal posture and breathing mechanics. Now, we tend to try to correct these issues with things like verbal cues, but we still often see a disconnect between how we would like the client and patient to move and how they actually move. But that's not their fault, because verbal cues mean absolutely nothing until you can actually feel what we're talking about. So we truly believe, in order to eliminate this disconnect between client and professional, and to help take people out of this unnecessary pain epidemic, is to bring verbal cues to life, so that you can actually feel what it's like to move well, and so that it's no longer just a verbal cue. If you're someone that loves to be in complete control of your own body, while constantly reassuring yourself of right versus wrong during exercise and training, then you are going to absolutely love the new innovative product that our team has developed for both rehabilitation and injury prevention. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce to you the 3-point stick, a precisely engineered collapsible dowel with a slot to accommodate dual elastic breathing straps. You feel the breathing straps expand and contract around your abdomen, assuring you of proper abdominal breathing mechanics. Maintain 3 contact points with the dowel to assure you of proper spinal posture, and feel yourself lose a point of contact as you come out of proper alignment so you can immediately self-correct your own movement. The 3-point stick is already proven to work. It's patent pending. It's free of complicated technology, free of sensors, and free of batteries. We have a doctor and 2 expert physical therapists supporting this product and have already expressed the fact that we, as a profession, need this product. Currently, our target market will be movement professionals, consisting of about 500,000 professionals as of right now, and estimated to be about 700,000 professionals by the year 2020. We will need funding for LLC formation, trademarking, manufacturing and production, marketing material, and further developing our marketing model in order to bring the 3-point stick to the people, to help reduce healthcare costs, and to bring people to a level of function that they've never thought possible. Ladies and gentlemen, the 3-point stick represents a higher standard for movement quality, and if brought to the market, I promise you the 3-point stick will make a difference. Thank you.
Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how did they do?
10.
10? 11? Anybody lower than an 8?
No. Very commercial.
Okay, so we think all general consensus is good. So let's first we back up and before we get into some specifics. Did he feel like they had practiced it?
Yeah.
Definitely, they definitely practiced, right? And this concept of that Paul talked about having multiple people talk, 5 minutes goes by fast. This guy was a really good speaker. They said, you're the good speaker, you do the speaking. You guys, you wear the stick really nicely, you wear the stick, right? The other guys just stand back there. They don't waste time doing introductions and all that kind of stuff, right? Your names are likely on the slides. You don't need to do a bunch of lengthy introductions. Get right into the pitch. Someone had a question about the story, right? Starting with a story. Generally, yes. Generally, I think that it can work, right? So but again, like Haas said, it's a good way to get the audience in, but you also have to make sure that it's brief. And so, did he start with a story? He kind of did. So what was his opening?
Like stats about like back pain and nerves.
Even before he did that, the very first,
Yeah.
even before that, the very first thing he said,
He asked if we know anyone with back
right, he asked, you know anyone with back pain, right? That's another good kind of opening if you answer the question. But I will say that sometimes it's risky, right? Because if this is the kind of question you can ask, and you can be generally sure that people are going to probably nod their heads. But if you ask a question like, do you have anybody with cystic fibrosis, or something much more rare, it probably doesn't work. And don't spend your time wasting, trying, oh, you do, right? Just move on. He asked a question, and he just went right into it, right? So practice, that was a good way he started it out. So let's see, the problem. How well did he define the problem? What was the problem that this team is addressing? Back pain. Oh, at the very fundamental level, they're talking about back pain, right? And so this, and again, it's one that most people can kind of understand pretty easily. How well did they then describe, and again, they bounce around between whether they're talking about the solution, the opportunity, the problem. How about in terms of the opportunity? How well did they, or what did they talk about that, or how well did they do that? What was anything memorable?
I mean, one, I would believe he was just like stating facts, like percentages of like, oh, this percentage of people have back pain.
Right, so if you've got something like that, you can get stats, right? You get statistics, a number of people who are afflicted with back pain. Good, that's to assess the opportunity. At the end, he talks about where they're going to market this, and who do you say who they're going to sell this to?
To professionals like doctors.
Yeah, to sell certain healthcare professionals, right? So we've identified a customer base that they're going to go to. They have an idea of how many of those practitioners are out there. Again, to the extent you can bring in statistics, especially when you talk about sort of market needs and market demand, things like that, really, really good. That's the opportunity. And then the solution. So what was, maybe you picked up on this. There's always this question of, okay, there's the problem, then there's the solution that you have, and there's problems with other solutions that are already out there. So what was sort of the problem that he was saying as with other solutions?
There's like nothing out there. All it is just like cues using somebody's voice, but that doesn't help because you physically can't feel that, so you don't know where you're wrong.
Excellent, right. What would you say?
Well, what she said, he found the big problem was the doctor clients, their connection in terms of what the government meant to say and what the client was actually feeling. It's very off, and so that sticks.
Yeah, there's something with what he's describing is that these verbal cues, and you can have healthcare practitioners tell you what to do, but unless you actually feel what it's supposed to feel like, it doesn't make sense to you, right? So that's where they come up with their solution. They effectively modeled it. Again, it was a relatively simple prototype, so if you can do it, going back to your guys' question about using videos, personally, I would kind of shy away from doing anything like videos that could not work. Generally, oftentimes that does happen. If you feel it's critical that you have a video that you can't tell a story any other way, then make sure it works. In your case, I probably, you've got the animation. I think I would probably not lead with that. That's sort of like your tool. So I would probably build up to that and show it. But again, make sure it works in the whatever platform you're using. All right. So then we get to resources. And we talk about what they need resources for.
Money to file for LLC, trademark, or manufacturing inventory.
Right, so he had a pretty clear plan, right? And it could be we get into this where they might say, okay, can you tell us a little more? He was fairly specific, but it could be, this is oftentimes, we're getting the slides in a second, where you're going to have things on your slides, information on slides, that's, you don't cover in the pitch, right? There's no way you can cover everything in the pitch. You're going to have what we call these backup slides, and some question in the Q&A may come up and say, oh, okay, well, here actually, here's a chart that shows, for instance, how we anticipate growing. These are the number of different clinics we're going to reach over time. This is how we're going to spend the money over time, what it's going to go to, right? So these are all things that you can effectively use in your backup slides. I think that pretty well covers it. So it's really well practiced, really solid in terms of covering the fundamentals, covers the cheat sheet elements really well. So from a pitch perspective, this is kind of a gold standard. You should, kind of aspire to pull something like that off. Now, we're going to go to a different one. So this time you didn't see the slides. And I will say, actually, here. Sometimes we have the slides for this, but the slides are actually really not that good. So isn't that true? Just come up with the slides are not.
So the slides here is actually, they don't have any words in it. Mostly pictures describe what they're talking about, and then they're just going through that. It's hard to do so. Because how to select pictures demonstrate that. And a lot of time, pictures may not be a good idea, maybe more graphic. If he's talking about number of people suffer with back pain, if the graphics show the trend and things like that, will give you a sense of how large is the user is. And if he identifies there, and people who actually purchase that is a physical therapist, then it should be some kind of information about those.
Yeah, so I do think having more pictures than more words is generally probably good if you're talking, but you do need some, you probably want some information out there. And so, for instance, the next one we'll look at, you're not going to see the video at all, you'll just see the slides, and then we'll say, okay, you get a sense based on these slides, how well they're dealing with these issues. So you want to effectively cover this both in the pitch itself, what you say, but then also what you convey in the slides. So next up, we have this one, CatNap. And this one, we won't watch the video, but we will go into the slides. Okay, read that. Tell me if you think how well, can you understand what they're talking about? Without hearing them say it, you get a sense of what this problem is.
And what's the leading problems? Basically, the personal trainers don't have a way to train people about how to walk.
Yes, and so basically we have people who have ambulatory issues, walking issues, and we're going to there's some way that something's not sufficient with how we can help them train. So it's this gait training techniques. How are we going to help them go through therapy in terms of walking?
Just tell them what PT is.
So he knew what PT.
Personal training.
Personal, okay. It's not personal training. Does everybody else know? Physical therapy, yeah, so good, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. This is actually physical therapy. So that's a case where, there could be, and actually these guys, I don't know, they come up in a different slide. They would tend to actually use acronyms for a number of things. One with brain injury, traumatic brain, maybe TBI, like traumatic brain injury. And always throughout their pitch, they'd be saying TBI, like, wait, no one knows what TBI is, right? So in this case, right, if I come and say PT, you see PT, they personal trainer, we're talking about physical therapist. So it's fun, again, maybe, and again, that's not saving that much space to break that out. So that's a very good point. Make sure you're clear about using acronyms. You can use them, what they stand for. Don't assume that people necessarily know what they mean. Okay, so that's it. How do physical therapists deal with people who have problems walking? There's not really, so the problem, there's multiple problems, right? People have suffered some type of injury, now they need help learning how to walk, again, usually, and there's nothing sufficient that can actually help them do that. So, okay, so then we go, okay, how big of a problem is this? What's the overall opportunity? How well does this describe that, we think? And this kind of gives you a little bit more idea behind what's behind the problem, too. What's the opportunity? What are they really going after?
They surveyed physical therapists to see how they would think about this, bringing it in, and talking about other things that are out in the market and seeing how good or bad they are in comparison.
Okay, right. So they've got some evidence from data, right? So if you've done research, it's really good to bring in research. If you've done interviews, surveys, focus groups, it's really helpful to kind of bring that in. A big opportunity. Okay, so where are you getting that from? Yeah, again, based on the survey, you can see that these are the different populations of people we're talking about. Ankle sprain, stroke. So here's this traumatic brain injury, stroke, muscular. So these are the people who are afflicted with this, right? Who need help with the ambulatory services. But one of the selling features about their product has to do with what they come up in this second bullet point. So what do they? Anybody guess? What is that? Can you figure out what is it that they're really highlighting there? It might be a little bit hard to pick up. What's that? It does what accurate? Uneven terrain, right? So that's a big feature of what their product is. It's this this concept of this uneven terrain. So it's fine people, you train people walking on treadmills or on carpets and things like that, but in the real world, you're walking on a lot of different substances, right? And a lot of situations where the terrain is uneven. And that's going to be another big distinguishing feature about their solution. So then here's what their solution is. And I'm pretty sure, pretty much every time I've seen them pitch, they're holding one of the squares. Right? So they usually bring in a prototype of one of the squares. You can see what it is. Does this give you a pretty good idea of what it is? No? So why do you say no?
It just looks like one of those those foam I don't know what you call
The
those.
mats,
like
for,
the
like,
mats. Yeah, for like the little kids. Like you just like a puzzle thing. So
Okay.
it doesn't really help me understand so like how are they gonna do simulate the unevenness.
Yeah, okay, so it does have an uneven surface. So, and I think that there's probably multiple versions of it where they simulate different kinds of services. So, and if you see one, okay.
Can I point out this one? So, Professor Hustas mentioned that they come in and they bring up the prototype one. And when it is, I mean, again, we don't see that pitch, what it looks like. But in reality is that they have a bag of beans and the other hand is the mat. It looks like the mat will be filled with big
Right,
beans.
great
So
point.
that it creates an even terrain for people to walk upon. The point here is that point when they pitch this idea, when we took this picture, the example here is when they don't even have the prototype yet. That's what they how to explain it to people in a layman term. Obviously, you are not in the field, you have no idea what it looks like. But to them, this is how she's talking about map that you can interlock and put it together. It sounds like small map, but then in the pitch, they have to explain to them.
But I agree with you that the picture could be a lot, I mean, the picture could be more effective, right? The picture does look just like a little child playing map, right? It doesn't at all convey what's so unique about theirs. I don't know if they do is going to be. What's that? Yeah, so that idea may have evolved. What says he's asking was it always that it was going to be.
So let's update for this team. This team is when last year Idea Challenge, they got to a level. So they from connection from the different speakers, they connect to the National Foundation ICO program, and they are in the ICO program for $25,000 grant right now. They're working with a lot of PD specialists as well as they started out with 2 physical therapists, right?
Yeah, but the question was the concept that this idea
They
evolved.
still keep on
The-
that
the beads.
matter is that the beads is inside, and I think that's why they get more engineering students to move with them, material engineering students to actually look at them, what kind of beads is in there.
Yeah, so they had a vague idea, because again, they had a vague, they had no engineers on the team, they eventually got more with engineers to come up with, understand the substance a little bit. Okay, so then, again, this one, you may or may not do something like this, but again, this is kind of expanding on this idea of what the opportunity is, the tool, again, go back to the survey, and then get to, and so here they actually spell out physical therapists, we probably should have done that earlier, and then talk about who their potential customers are going to be. This is where oftentimes, this is not always the best strategy. So this is good to have multiple ideas, but ultimately the judges might want to see that you're focused on a particular segment. So are you going to hospitals, are you going to clinics, are you going to home care? These would all be completely different types of strategies in terms of marketing, in terms of how you reach these channels, you reach them. So you want to think about potential different customers, but you probably, by the time you get to the pitch one, you're really focused on which of the customer groups you're going to go after. Okay, and then here's their plan for what they need. This is a really good slide in terms of telling you specifically what they need, and have a pretty good idea of what things are going to cost. And that was that. And then they had here's some more backup slides they had. Okay, So what we're going to do now is we're going to get you talking, because no one wants to talk, so we're going to have you do some exercise, and there's going to be two different ways you can do that. So you've got a cheat sheet that kind of tells you what the judges are looking for. What you're going to do, so some of you may be fairly far along, or you think you are in terms of the project that you're working on. Some of you may not, but I want all of you to be in some team and working towards crafting a very short pitch. And you're all going to, each team is going to present their pitch. And so you have two options. You can either work together around do a pitch, a verbal pitch, so you won't do slides, for your own idea that you plan to pitch at a different maker. You plan to submit to the different maker contest. And then use the cheat sheet. So go through, you want to identify the problem, what's the opportunity, what's your solution, what resources do you need. And the resources one at this point, maybe don't spend a whole lot of time on, be thinking about it. Or, say you don't want to do that, you don't even feel comfortable talking about it yet. So what I have is some companies on a piece, some descriptions of companies on a piece of paper. And what I would do is give those teams a company, and then you would, based on the information that I've given you the case, you would craft a pitch around that company. So you would come up with, based on this information, what's the problem they're addressing, what's their solution, what's the opportunity. You don't have to worry about the resources, but you can't, the only rule for that one is you can't say the company's name, right? So the idea is you'll give this pitch, and then if you've done a good job, hopefully then we'll see if the rest of the room can figure out what company you're pitching. Does that make sense? Okay, so we'll go around and figure out which ones you want to do.
As a kid, I read my dad
of one of these, and then all together whoop on the pitch. Together. So then, there's plenty of examples right now on campus. So I just feel like formula is similar like that. So I think
I will time you. So you don't have to get, so basically don't, if you haven't got the resources, don't get the resources. That one you probably need to be thinking a little bit more about anyway. So basically go through, convince us that you identified a problem, there's a significant opportunity, and you got a compelling solution. And I will give you like at a 30-second mark, I'll be like, okay, my hand in front of you, tell you that you should get wrapping up. And at 3 minutes, I'll basically say, okay, you're done. So, who wants to go first? You guys?
Yes, please.
Okay. So one person stand up. You can't hear this?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it keeps going off. Can you hear it now? Sort of. Okay. You can try the mic. Maybe hear it. Stand up. Come to the front. Everybody come, when you pitch, come to the front. Everybody else be quiet. Listen, don't be practicing your own pitch.
Hi, so my name is Sarva Chanda, and I'm with Team Mission Hydro. Mission Hydro will deliver a power generation and energy storage system for eco-conscious homeowners that seek to reduce their dependence on the traditional unrenewable energy coming from the electric grid, and to also reduce their electricity bills on a daily basis. Over 25% of the power in the current grid in the United States is supplied from unrenewable sources such as fossil fuels and natural gas, which obviously come with the environment since they have negative impacts on carbon emissions. Our solution takes advantage of the hydrogen atom and oxygen from the atmosphere to generate clean and renewable electricity for household and corporate use. We will utilize any funding from difference maker for building a working prototype and for accelerating market research. We promise that Mission Hydro will make a big difference in the fight against climate change.
Okay, very good. All right, now what, we want to discuss this, or should we make sure we get through them all? We have time. What do you think?
can you just point out a few things
Yeah.
here, and then that way the team can actually share
Right.
some of that.
Okay.
So, the thing is, I don't hear you. I'm just like, what is up here? I can't hear
It doesn't
you.
work.
Anyway, so So one thing that is not clear in your pitch is where your market is, right? Of course, right now you don't have all the information about the size of the markets, currently how they deal with that. So that's the point that I think you need to make it stronger on that, on that. And I like the way that you explained about your technology in a very short way, an easy way for layman people that know what it is. So that's, I think that's a.
And my one thought is you kind of led right away with the solution as opposed to setting it up better with the problem, how big the opportunity is, and then hit us with the solution. So that many people will do that. Okay, so who's next?
Who's next? Yeah, go ahead.
Louis.
Someone else go, Brian?
Go ahead. Get your phone closer to your mouth.
I don't think it's not going on at all.
I think it's on.
It's not working.
Yeah, you can't hear.
Just talk loud.
Oh, if you loud enough.
Yeah, just talk as you always do.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
How you doing? My name is Louis Charignano, the founder of FAM Financial. Founder of FAM Financial Action Manager. Did you know that only 21% of Americans have anything to save for retirement? Only 41% of Americans actually use a budget. And Americans that do have something to save have about $84,821. And experts recommend about $1 million. And when you guys go to retire at around 65, you'll need about $10 million. Does anybody know where their $10 million is coming from? Anyone have a really good idea where it's coming from? All right, well.
Compounding.
What?
Compounding.
You do? Where's it coming from?
Your money that you invest.
My money? Okay, cool. I need 20 million. All right. So FAM is that solution. FAM helps budget and helps you manage your investing and saving. It helps you delegate your income in a way where you'll someday be able to retire in a generation where most people won't be able to. And we do that in a few different ways. We do that by creating a UI which pulls you back and allows you to continually check your income and where your expenses and expenditures are in ways that current financial management apps don't. We do that through social media integration and a goal/streak-driven UI, which is new to the market entirely. And we also do that with the added Dinosaur, which follows you through the UI in the same way that a Duolingo app would to help you create a gamification aspect that no one else is offering in the market right now.
All right, very good.
What is UI?
Oh, user interface.
Oh,
Yeah. So it's like what you're actually looking at in an app. It's everything that you know about an app.
so, once again, first time saying it, say it clear. right?
Yeah. I don't
You
know why
don't
they want to
expect
know what it is.
everyone sitting down there and very familiar with that kind of clothes as well. All right?
So for you, I would say the feedback, I think also from the DCU contest, the big issue I think now was how you're distinct from other similar apps or products. So you can make sure you focus, definitely hammer that home. Okay, who's next? All right.
Hello everybody, my name is Sarah. My project's name is Lola in 360. It focuses on how new students, including international students, transfer students, freshmen, anybody new to Lowell even, how they feel isolated in Lowell because they don't have the ability to explore or understand the historical importance of the city. There is the Mills and the whole Mills Museum and the National Park System that is in Lowell, but it's hard to understand to get there sometimes because it's a physical place and museum, and the university is so big and it's in here too. And so my solution is having a 360 Google tour of Lowell with a directory inside that sends off external links to help with more historical sites and deeper information. It's helping to bring together the university, the Lowell Mills, and some local businesses too, because they can benefit from that too, because when people go into Lowell, they just don't want to know the history, they want to know the vibrancy and the community and the culture of Lowell. My resources would go about to finding networking opportunities for people with the time, the ability, the resources, and historically the specific information that I want in order to create this entire Google tour and flash directory.
The solution is solving.
Yeah, I had a similar reaction. So like I wanted to more, you can definitely build your case through more statistics in terms of the number of students that are here who come from out of town, across, different parts of the world. The the different types of things that you would be highlighting. And also, I didn't have I didn't realize this, how much I work on this, kind of what it actually did or how good it was. So again, you might go do that with some nice mock-ups and pictures and things like that. So yeah, very good. Yeah, all the everything we tell you, we recognize. You guys had like 10 minutes to work on this, so just take these as food for thought going forward. Okay, who's next? All right.
Hello, my name is Govind Tikar, co-founder of World Jersey. World Jersey is a product/service brand that is solving the needs and demands of consumer culture awareness and basic survival needs among impoverished children and families. We create unique style jerseys based on countries' flags, and our whole purpose for creating these jerseys is we want to give back to our roots and communities by spreading culture awareness through a style of streetwear fashion, jerseys. We are two Bengali twins from Bangladesh, born and raised in North America. Our life has been a blessing to being born and brought up in the land of opportunity. And our parents worked extremely hard to immigrate from Bangladesh to the USA. We are so fortunate for them. However, there are many others in Bangladesh that do not have the same blessing as we do. In fact, this population of people is suffering every single day because they are constantly challenged to meet the basic living necessities, such as getting adequate food and getting adequate clothing. It is shown that rate of malnutrition in Bangladesh is among highest in the world. And more than 50% of preschool-aged children, equivalent to more than 9.5 million children, are malnourished, and 17% die from these conditions every year. And for the children that gratefully are able to attend school, they lack adequate clothing. When young children strive to keep up with the social norms that say what you wear is a statement of who you are, wearing ragged clothing is often embarrassing and can hinder productive learning experiences. Although there are no records kept on how many children lack proper clothing, officials estimate that at least half the students at the poor schools wear ragged or unwashed clothing. Although millions of poor children nationwide lack adequate clothing, advocates say the issue is overshadowed by the more urgent needs of hunger and healthcare. That is why, in order to give back to the children in need, our brand will be donating 10% of each jersey purchased to provide them with adequate food. And to expand on that, every 5 jerseys that is purchased, 1 jersey will be donated to a child in need of adequate clothing. What is so unique about this business is we are not just solving one problem, we are solving 2, which is no other company like us makes fashionable streetwear for people that want to represent their own country. Consumers that want to represent their own country through our jerseys will be able to give back to that country. All they would need is pride and honor. If people have pride and honor to represent a jersey of their own country, they will be indirectly giving back as well, because they are raising the awareness to that country and countries in need.
Okay, right at 3 minutes.
All right, this is way too much personal stories and inspirations, and then crowded what their ideas is, right? Provided you selling your jersey with, country here, that's your business. You haven't tell me where to find it, how you sell it, who's the one who buy it? Is it the young people, old people, these and everything? That the main story is basically crowded by or inspiration speech. That's if this is a marketing pitch, probably good. This is not. This is idea pitch. Your business idea pitch. That's the difference between the two.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. It's like you have to decide. You don't have to. Most of your story was around sort of the problems with, clothing and developing countries like Bangladesh. But you have a solution that addresses that, but that's not the main part of what your solution really is going for. It seems like, right? So I would probably think about how do you reallocate sort of your attention and time based on the main part of the business, which is why would people who want to buy clothing think yours is better, other than the fact that you might donate some proceeds, but what's so unique about, again, your part of your clothing line. So, very good. Okay, very good. All right, who's next? Okay.
So the injector detector is going to be an armband that goes on your arm, and Stuart, what's our problem?
So yeah, how many people here know someone who has an EpiPen prescription?
EpiPen.
Yeah, right.
Anyone who knows anyone with allergies? Yeah, a lot of people.
Yeah. So currently in America, there's 1,899,000 EpiPen prescriptions, and the problem is a lot of people don't know how to use EpiPens properly.
There's a lot of kids, especially younger kids, who they're just getting sent off to school. They have severe nut or whatever allergies, and their parents aren't around to administer the EpiPen, and they need the peace of mind to send their kid off to school, knowing that they're gonna survive a potential encounter with an allergic substance.
So our product will have a sensor, histamine, a sensor that can detect histamine levels in your bloodstream, and when your histamine levels get too high, it would automatically inject you with epinephrine to save lives.
After a short delay, so if you're not having a severe allergic reaction, you can disable it. But the idea is, if you're unable to, or you don't know how to administer an EpiPen, it'll do it for you, so you get a lot of peace of mind that you don't have to worry about which ends up, how do you administer that sort of very stressful situation.
Yeah, so my dad is actually allergic to bees, and one time when he was hiking, he got stung by a bee, and when he tried to inject himself with an EpiPen, he was holding it the wrong way, and the needle actually ended up going through his thumb, and none of the epinephrine was actually administered to the bloodstream. So with our product, it'd be automatically administered, so there'd be no hassles, and yeah, this product
Save lives.
Of how transition from one another to another. I know, provided you have very short time to actually pitch this one, but that's how you be careful in terms of big chunk. One person present one chunk, the other. Yeah, don't go back and forth like that. It takes too much time. That's all.
Yeah. Is actually not good.
Oh no! I mean, this is just trying to demonstrate the point that it's better to be organized.
Don't get offended by any
Right.
criticism that you get.
Right.
I mean, go make this is nothing compared to what.
Can I make another point? Is that when
But for you guys, like you did start with the box, right? Get it back up, and so you had two compelling stories, right? You can start with you know someone, or you can start with your grandfather, your father's story, whatever. But probably you don't want to have both those stories.
Right.
Both those stories. So think which one works better. All right. You're up.
Do any of you know of anyone who's had a knee-related surgery such as an ACL repair? Okay. This is not surprising due to the fact that there are 350,000 ACL reconstruction surgeries in the United States annually. That costs the U.S. healthcare system $500 million a year. This creates the perfect market for our medical device connectivity. The problem we are focusing on is a slow, discouraging recovery after a knee injury and surgery, specifically time lost during recovery. In this stage, the target audience is athletes because they have gone from a constantly active lifestyle to having limited mobility for an extended period of time, needing a more hands-on recovery. These athletes would be between 15 and 25 years of age as they are greatest risk for injury. We believe that by incorporating the use of electromyogram sensors and it can track muscle activity and range of motion through the brace. The visible data tracked by these sensors will be compiled into an easy-to-use app that comes with the brace, ultimately resulting in a positive, more hands-on recovery. This will not only speed up recovery time, but allow patients to track their recovery day by day, minute by minute. We live in a world where we become smart cars, smartphones, even smart water, so why can't your recovery be smart too?
Good.
this is definitely not though too. Because you're talking about the athletics students, there's a big group over here. So if you can insert in your talk to them and how they deal with the injury with the brace and things like that, that will be incorporated into your speech very well in terms of how you actually do a lot of research on it. Okay?
Yeah, I would just, at some point, again, down the line, not right away, but you might be thinking about, okay, are you going to be selling this to physical therapists and individual physical therapists? Okay, so that's maybe, then you do like Cat, why talk to physical therapists and this, why is an existing solution to this, why is it a problem, and how does this really address those things? So that would be great. Okay, who's next? Okay.
Hey everyone, my name is Divyanshu Verma. I'm from the Gene Smart Safety Outlet, and I'm sure you guys all know there's electricity flowing through all of these outlets. Now for us, it isn't too much of a problem. None of us are going to stick a fork in the oven. But for parents with little children, that's a huge concern. Also, hospitals have this huge problem where there have been multiple cases of janitors going into a hospital room, just not even thinking about it, pulling out some plug, charging their phone. Turns out it's a ventilator machine that's keeping somebody alive. There's also issues of this happening in data centers where something gets unplugged and companies have to spend millions of dollars trying to fix whatever the problem was and fixing all of the other problems that are caused because of it. So we've designed a plug, or an outlet that actually fits right in this wall, replaces this exact outlet that can be controlled from your phone. So this outlet not only allows you to turn on and off power like a regular smart outlet would, it also allows you to lock in a device. So if you have, say, a refrigerator plugged into your wall, then you can lock that in. You don't have to worry about putting those annoying little plastic gaps to prevent your kids from sticking a fork into the outlet, creating some sort of hazard for themselves. Obviously, it's not realistic to have the fridge unplug the fridge and plug it back in every single time you need to use it. And you can't have a device powered on when you're using this plastic gap. So our device is basically taking the spot. So our device, we're trying to aim right now for our first selling cycle to aim towards local daycares in Lowell, and then also schools, and then maybe even residential communities after that. We think that daycares would be the best market for us to reach first, because we can go directly to them. And then we obviously want to go for hospitals and companies as well, because they'll buy it. Our device is estimated to be around $25, just compared to the regular market price for a smart outlet, which is around $15 to $20. $5 more for a device that also locks in the plug. Makes a bit of sense. And we really need money right now for a plastic mold, so we can produce this device for a fraction of the cent, just per device.
Very good.
So my comment for the team is that if you are focused on the first market, which is the daycare and children and things like that, take one example. So you save a lot of time. It's talking about kids sticking their hands into the sockets and things like that. Take that example because that's your focus upon. You want to save time for more other, information and things like that. So that future thing, that potential. Later on, you could say this is a potential, other potential market, but give right up front the example of just one, because otherwise it's just confused. What? Company? Children? Everything.
Yeah, I would say this one, it sounds like you have done some research, you understand that some competitors. I would say this, and I don't know the space at all, but make sure you know what other competing products are. Like definitely this will be one where these are the competitors. And you don't have to do the presentation, but you have to make it back slide. This is what their features are, and this is why ours is so much better. Okay, who's next? You guys, everybody left? Everybody?
But this team, do you want to go for it?
No, we had a project.
Okay. How about you? You want to go give it a try?
I don't have anything prepared.
Okay, so we don't want to force you to go if you want to.
Right.
Any remaining questions or about your pitch or about pitches in general or the format? the secret sauce, right? So it shouldn't surprise you that judges are people, right? And they have their own opinions, and they don't always necessarily see, there'll be multiple judges. And they'll typically, the way, okay, so I'll tell you the format for this preliminary round anyway. What happens is you'll go in, you'll pitch, then there'll be a discussion round. And what we did with the so you've left. There's a moderator in the room who will then facilitate the conversation. And we try and get the people to, they'll have score sheets. And we try and get them to do their initial score sheets. And then they discuss it. And so then they might modify their votes depending on what they hear from other people. But their opinions vary, right? So the one I was in last time, I remember, there were some people really liked the idea. Generally, there may gravitation around one team, right? That the whole room just sort of agrees that they like. But other than that, some people like one person, versus another. So oftentimes it comes down to, like Ekaham mentioned. So some of it is to the extent that the big mission is sort of a social impact. So that could be sort of a tiebreaker if you think there's more of a social impact. What else would you like? What other advice would you give there?
The way I see it is that these judges is not, inexperienced. They are business owners. They are entrepreneurs. They are working company. They have very strong sense of business as well, right? Whatever you put it in there, it's just here, there. They know. That can tell right away that whether your data is actually makes sense, or you present your solution and it's totally ignoring a very big competitor in the market, or someone only providing very well thought solution for it. And you don't even tell what's the difference, why you are different. Yes, you present everything in there, but you don't acknowledge that. You don't acknowledge that how you're different, how you solve it better, how you're unique. That's why it is marked down right there. All these points is going to be looked at very carefully and compare between teams. If you all have a beautiful presentation, beautiful presentation is one thing, but what is content in there is a key, right? Are you telling the truth? Are you telling the real picture? And then keep in mind, in the preliminary round, we ask them to write their comment. And then after that, you can get your comment. I make sure that you have a comment to improve your presentation if you go further or continue your idea. Yes, yes. Oh, yes, please. Yeah. Can I have a few minutes for...
Oh, seconds. Here's my pitch. It's even shorter. So my name is Pamela Bagvani, and I work in the Office of Sustainability. And when I first started coming to these workshops, I made sure we got trash and recycling in here the very next day. Just a reminder, these are recyclable as long as there's no liquid in them and the cans. Everything else is trash. So Riverhawks recycle right. Please make sure you're recycling right. On another side, we have up to $10,000 in grant money that's available. You don't have to do anything like this. This is wonderful. I have loved being part of this as a staff member, and hope to see some of you win a lot of money. But you can make it, it's a simple grant. It's called the SEED Grant Fund, S.E.E.D. The funding comes from student fees that you pay as a sustainability fee. And the money goes directly back to students making ideas. So it can be anything up to $10,000. We funded bike racks down, we funded trips where students have wanted to take a trip. So there's lots of great things. I'm writing a grant for a sustainable symposium for November called Zeroing In on Zero Waste, which will be a New England conference for students that are interested in that. So the money's there. You guys contributed to it. I hope you can spend it. Recycle right, please.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks for coming.